Alright, in this video, I'm going to look at every Total Drama season and see which is the best character in each. My last video, where I looked at the worst character in each season, did actually really well, so I thought, why not make a sequel to that? A lot of people disagreed with my opinions, which was fine, that's natural. And then there were people like Sweet Cheese Boy who very clearly had the desire to publicly execute me because I disliked Sean from Total Drama Pahkitew Island. This time I get to do more of a positive video, although being negative is a lot more fun. So when looking at the best character for each season, I'm going to try to divide my bias and an actual perspective. I'm going to be taking a look at which characters did the best for the season, provided the most entertainment, the best character development, and what characters are most likable. So let's go on and start off at season 1. Total Drama Island had a lot of memorable characters that really stood out and made the show what it is. Aside from the Ridonculous Race, this season has the most characters. As iconic as Owen is, I can't really say he's the best character in this season. He is one of my favorites, but he was also kind of just the comic relief that happened to win. Sure, he was a great character, but he didn't really do much to contribute to the challenges and formula of the show as a whole. Characters like Trent, Duncan, Jeff, and even Courtney are close to making it too. Heather is probably one of my favorite villains in the series. I mean, she does a lot to piss the viewers off. But a lot of the reasoning they have in the show to not eliminate her, it's kind of stupid. This was a villain with a lot of plot armor, so I can't really say she was the best. Honestly, in my opinion, I say the best characters were Gwen and Lashana. Both characters do so much to contribute to the show, and Gwen is almost treated as a main character. In some episodes, the same could even be said about Lashana, but obviously she's not written as a main character. I mean, no one really is. But even so, she was written as a really great and likable character, while also having some sass to her. She did really great in all the challenges, and her conflict with Heather was always so fun to watch. And then Gwen just had so much different plots going on in the show, and they were really interesting to watch. Her relationship with Trent was probably one of my favorites in the series, and it's nice to see how she warms up with everyone else through the season. So with Island out of the way, let's move on to Action. Total Drama Action did a really good job improving a lot of the characters from Total Drama Island. Sadly, not everyone could come back, but it was still enjoyable to see a lot of the same characters interact and try to do better. I feel like this is where Duncan, Lindsay, and Justin really peaked. Actually, maybe not Duncan. He kind of peaked in season 1. Still, Lindsay and Justin felt so much more fleshed out compared to their season 1 counterparts. But there's one character that I felt improved the most, and that is Harold. I say Harold is the best because there are just so much moments in this season where he really redeems himself. After being a bit of a loser and early boot in season 1, he makes the final 5. And honestly, with everything he had to go through with Duncan, he should have won this season. I mean, I'm surprised we didn't get a Lindsay and Harold finale. I can't be the only one who kind of felt bad for him when Duncan just wouldn't get off this man's meat. Duncan's whole bully thing against Harold kind of got old fast, and it was a good thing they brought back Courtney so that would kind of settle down. After everything he went through in the first half of the season, it would have been nice to see Harold get a bit more redemption. He was definitely the best in this season, and this is definitely where he peaked. So moving on to Total Drama World Tour. World Tour is one of my favorite seasons. The characters are enjoyable, the challenges are enjoyable, and the locations are really cool. I could definitely say no one on Team Victory is the best character in this season. My personal favorite was Noah, but I feel like he was cut way too early for him to be considered the best character in the season. It's really sad because he had so much potential to make it far and do really great and be a good rival to Alejandro. Cody is also another character I really liked, but I feel like he got carried too much by Sierra to be considered the best as well. Yes, it is a very popular opinion, but I gotta say it's either Heather or Alejandro who's the best here. Their dynamic was the highlight of this season. Heather got some of the best character development the series has ever seen, and Alejandro is seen as one of the greatest Total Drama villains of all time. I mean, his manipulation tactics and ways of actually avoiding elimination actually make sense, and yet his personality is still likable and he adds so much to the show. Plus, he is one of 2 of the only new characters, not counting Blaney, to be introduced to this season, and new characters are always exciting. I think Alejandro really added something that was needed. The concept of someone competing who knows all of the players' strengths and weaknesses from watching the original 2 seasons, that's just a great concept for a villain that you can do so much with. So while they're not my personal favorites of the season, Heather and Alejandro are definitely the best objectively. Next, we're taking a look at Total Drama Revenge of the Island. These are some new characters that we're looking at too. Dawn was honestly one of my personal favorites. I know she's a little overrated for someone who's literally only been in about 6 episodes of Total Drama, but I say they missed a lot of potential to make more of this character, bring her back for All Stars. Well, she's not really an all-star, so I guess you couldn't really do that. But they were okay with bringing Sam back because he's Sam. Scott was honestly a really great villain for the series, but someone I really liked, someone who stands out to me the most in this season, has to be Lightning. I loved this character as a kid, and I still do today. His jokes are really funny. He's definitely one of the dumbest Total Drama characters to ever walk the series, but in my opinion, he's just gotta be one of the most likable. Sure, characters like Cameron and Mike did a lot more for the season, but Lightning really piqued the entertainment and humor for all of the episodes. Around the era of 2012, Total Drama Revenge of the Island was airing a lot. I remember one of my favorite shows at the time was Skatoony. It was probably my favorite show as a kid, period, and when I saw Lightning get on there, it made me like him infinitely more, and he has so much depth in the original show. No matter where you put this stupid character, he's interesting and funny. Even in All Stars, which we'll get to in a bit, he is one of the only contestants who still maintains his character. It was great to see him be both a comic relief and kind of a villain near the end of the series. Even in his defeat, I loved this guy, his rivalries, his jokes, and especially his iconic "sha" lines. Even when I'm not rewatching the series, I just love watching clips on Lightning. Next up, we have to take a look at a more controversial season. All Stars. It's common knowledge that a lot of characters were ruined in this season, so it's a little harder to pick one that's best. And although he was definitely dumbed down to his core, Scott really did good for this season. He kind of acted more as a comic relief in this season than a villain, but even so, he managed to keep his likability at the same level. Even his thing with Courtney wasn't horrible. In that one episode with Ezekiel, it was pretty funny to watch and see two characters like Scott and Courtney get into a romantic mess. Scott may have added a lot less to Total Drama All Stars, but he still managed to remain a good character and let All Stars be a little more watchable. Before I move on to the next season, I just want to encourage you guys to subscribe and kind of check out some of my other content. I actually have an animation channel called Plushroom Animation where I make some fan animation and parodies with my own characters. I even reanimated the Total Drama Reboot intro with my own characters. I think it's something you guys would really like, so I highly suggest you check it out. As for this channel, I mainly just make plush content. I actually have a plush version of Total Drama that I'm making right now. It's really funny and I highly recommend, so if you want to check it out, be my guest. I'm trying to get it more popular so I can continue it. And if you want to see me make more commentary or Total Drama videos like this one, let's get this video to 1,000 likes. We definitely killed it on the last one, which I can't thank you guys enough for. And if you have any other ideas for videos you want me to make, leave them in the comments below. Alright, so now we're going to take a look at Total Drama Pahkitew Island. There's not a lot to choose from here. Well, I can tell you guys that it's definitely not Sean. Yeah, I read your comments. I read every single one of them. I am really grateful that a lot of people were respectful on my takes of Sean and not like Sweet Cheese Boy. He really had it out for me. I'd say he's a certified Plushroom hater. Honestly, I don't care what you guys say. This whole season's a mess, so I'm gonna make this selection a mess too. Beardo is one of the best characters. I was gonna not have him be a selection for here, but because he's literally the only character to be in one episode of Total Drama. So I'm not really being serious when I say he's one of the best characters, but I'm putting him here anyway. I am gonna say, however, that Jasmine really stands out from everyone else, and I would say she's probably the best bet. I like Jasmine. I don't love Jasmine, but she honestly does a lot to be a great and likable character, which I can respect. Not to mention, she is a powerhouse in the challenges, a good friend to a lot of the other characters, and I will say her thing with Sean was pleasant to watch. I'm a certified Sean hater. I don't care for y'all. Ow, I'm joking! There's not really anyone else I can look at here. I'm just gonna say Jasmine and Beardo. So moving on to the Ridonculous Race. I'm not gonna choose individual characters, more individual teams, since that's kind of the whole theme of the season. I feel like not everyone would agree with me here, but I feel like my personal favorites deserve to be listed for this season. And that is the reality TV pros, the sisters, and the daters. I loved watching all three of these teams. I don't know about you guys, but the daters were really funny to watch. I know a lot of people don't really like them, but their entire plot and way of showing how couples can get through challenges, I think it's really nice. And it was very funny to watch, in my opinion. And I absolutely loved the interactions between the reality TV pros and the sisters. Noah is one of my favorite total drama characters of all time. He's got to be up there with Chris and DJ. So seeing him fall for a sarcastic girl like him, it was definitely the highlight of the season for me. I like that the writers tried to show more to him than just a sarcastic know-it-all. I love the sarcastic know-it-all side of him, but they gave Noah a lot more depth in this, and I couldn't be happier for that. Not to mention, Emma and Kitty are just great characters in general, and I love their dynamic together. The way they interacted with other characters was always just enjoyable, and they always just seemed to be the least annoying of all the other teams. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I'm not the biggest fan of MacArthur. I don't know, she's MacArthur. So these three teams were definitely the highlight of the season for me. And we have made it to the reboot. So season 1 of the reboot. Although I did really want to see the old characters come back, it was nice to see a new cast once more, and this time actually done right. Pahkitew Island. And honestly, the characters had to be the thing they got the most right in this season. Every single character is enjoyable to watch. I like all of the characters, even Millie, despite what I said in my last video. But either way, there has to be a best. And I will say now, I'm not gonna say it's Priya. Priya is kind of treated as the main character in the series, and she's not a bad character. I really liked her. Really liked her. But man, she got a lot of screen time and she talked a lot. Her and Millie were great, but they kind of made it really obvious where their direction was heading. I mean, even Priya made it obvious that she was gonna win. Girl has trained her whole life to win total drama. I wonder if she's gonna win or not. It's a good backstory for a character, but the way she was treated for the entire season kind of made it obvious that she was going to end up winning. My personal favorite here is Z and Damien, but it doesn't even feel like they did enough for the season. And while Julia was a fine villain, there's someone who I liked better. Bowie. We don't get to see a lot of characters like Bowie. He's kind of a villain, yet a strategic player at the same time. And he has dynamics and interactions with the other characters that kind of makes you care about him more. He honestly has a more interesting personality and character compared to Priya. Priya just felt like such a basic character. While Bowie wanted to have his relationship with Raj thrive, but also wanted to strategically play for the game and also maintain his other friendships. Another character I wanted to put here was Scary Girl. Sorry, Scary Girl was one of the best characters. Say what you want about Scary Girl, she was definitely one of the most unique, and I think it was good to have at least one character that was a little out there. Not to mention, she definitely has the best design out of everyone, and every scene she's in is just hilarious, and she has this very interesting personality. It makes sense why they eliminated her early. There's not really much you can do with Scary Girl, but her limited amount of screen time makes her even more enjoyable to watch. I mean, I could even probably say the same thing about Beardo. And last but not least, we have season 2 of the reboot, the latest season of total drama as of this video's publishing. Surprisingly, they decided to bring all 16 campers back. Some got better while some got a little worse. It really seemed like Damien was heading a better direction in this season, but nope, they just had to screw my best character over. I still really wanted to say that he was one of the best in this season though, but it just felt like he didn't do enough once again. They had so much they could have done with this character, but they chose not to. Caleb is another character that I actually really liked in this season. A lot of people will definitely say otherwise, but I liked seeing him go from kind of an irrelevant character to someone who was more important to the storyline. I would probably say that Wayne and Raj were probably the highlights of this season. The two of them are just enjoyable to watch, and since they lasted even longer this time, they had a lot of good dynamics. They're basically Katie and Sadie done right. The characters actually interact with other people. And Wayne was even able to win the season. So I think that would wrap it up for the best character in every single total drama season. Once again, if you guys want to see more commentary videos like this, let me know in the comments down below and any ideas you have. And definitely don't be afraid to check out my animation channel and everything that I post on there. It's something I'm trying to grow, and I want to do little things like story time videos and even more commentary videos. With that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in another one. Peace.